Disney, please stop making these live-action remakes. You're just making worse versions of original classics. Being photorealistic doesn't make your films better. Using auto-tune doesn't improve your songs. It's time to stop. Make original films again.
If you couldn't tell what I was alluding to in the intro to this video, I'm talking about the absolute worst trend in Hollywood today: remakes. I'm not totally against the notion of remaking something. Like, if a director has a unique spin they want to take on a classic story, a remake can work, I guess. For example, last year's Suspiria remake was pretty much a completely different movie than the original, and it was pretty awesome. Dread was also a pretty fun reboot, and you can't talk about the best movie remakes without name-dropping John Carpenter's The Thing. Remakes are total trash when they are made with little effort put into them and like little to no new concepts introduced to the original story. The most notorious example is the remake of Psycho, which is basically a shot-for-shot remake of the original, but it has Vince Vaughn this time. Oscar winner from Unfinished Business. Side note, Unfinished Business has a character named Mike Pancake, as in breakfast. Just give him an Oscar right there. But I'll save Unfinished Business for another time. You could say I have some unfinished business in that regard. Hollywood still goes off of the notion that sequels, remakes, and basically any use of existing properties is more likely to be successful than original films, which is basically killing cinema, by the way. We've had 8 theatrical superhero films this year alone. 8! Anyway, the reason for all this context is because we have a new remake in theaters right now. We have a remake of the best animated film of all time, The Lion King. But how are they approaching this remake? Maybe they're just gonna remaster the classic animation, make it like a re-release. That might be a little cute, but no. In theaters right now, we have an ugly and photorealistic remake with Beyonce. I basically refuse to see it because I choose not to support Disney's decision to make this monstrosity, but I guess I saw Endgame twice and Aladdin once, so I'm not exactly a saint here. But is this the first time Disney has made a terrible live-action remake? Nope. So this video will not only serve as my video on The Lion King, but also as a critique of this trend Disney has of rebooting their classic animated films into live-action nightmares. And before you freak out, yes, I'll address the exceptions. The Jungle Book is an okay movie. That was a movie where I could see room for a reboot. The original isn't the most memorable film of all time or anything. And yeah, it was done pretty respectively with some pretty great special effects. It's harmless. Similarly, I could understand why they'd remake Pete's Dragon, since it's one of the lesser known and worst received Disney movies. That movie is watchable, but I forgot everything about it, so I guess I can't say it's good. And that's it. I've either not seen or hated the rest of them, so let's get into it.
Here I go. Woo! Back up. Uh-oh. Watch out! You done wound me up. About to show you what I'm working with.
Part of what makes Disney animated films so special is the animation itself. Animation can allow viewers to suspend their disbelief and enter a world full of bright colors and cartoonish imagery. The animation in Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King brings so much personality to their respective films. Meanwhile, the live-action remakes have about as much charm and likability as Bryan Singer and a Chuck E. Cheese. The problem with adapting animation to realism is that not everything translates well to live action. For example, animation can allow animals to have facial expressions that are basically impossible for them to have in reality. Just look at these 2 shots from the Lion King films. Making the lions actual lions makes them stone-faced walls. Korg has more facial expressions than these damn lions. Does a big blue CGI Will Smith genie translate well to live action? Well, if you saw the backlash that came out as soon as we got the first glimpse at Will Smith as the genie, You know that answer is no. And don't get me wrong, Will Smith was probably the most entertaining part of that movie because you could tell he was actually trying. And maybe a blue genie could have worked. I mean, naked blue Dr. Manhattan and Zack Snyder's classic film Watchmen looked pretty cool. But Will Smith just looks so bad. And if Will Smith looking goofy as hell doesn't justify my point, just look at these characters from Beauty and the Beast. The Beast is literally one of the worst designed characters I've ever seen in a movie. And the candle and teapots are even worse. Did the animators think they were working on a Blumhouse horror movie? To sum this point up, the translation to the big screen doesn't always work. Especially if you're doing a near shot-for-shot remake like The Lion King. In my opinion, the music in Disney films kind of make or break the movies. If you don't walk out humming the tunes, I feel like they failed. Take the new Mary Poppins, for example. I can't recall a single note from any of those songs. And yeah, Emily Blunt was pretty good in it, but you need a spoonful of memorability to make the new songs go down. The work Disney often puts into crafting catchy, emotional, and fun music is truly remarkable. Even if every song on a soundtrack isn't amazing, you usually leave with at least 1 or 2 earworms, and in some cases you get an entire album of flames. Since music is such an important part of Disney movies, of course the remakes are going to try to recreate the greatest hits from them, and God, I wish they didn't. Want to know the #1 reason they don't work? Disney has been casting famous actors in their films, not famous singers. Don't get me wrong, there are a few exceptions, like Naomi Scott killed it in Aladdin, I can't even lie about that. But for the most part, the songs will have you groaning into eternity, and the actors cannot sing. Take, for example, Emma Watson in Beauty and the Beast. Look, I'm sure Emma Watson is a sweetheart, but unfortunately that doesn't make her a great singer. Disney knew this, and they proceeded to glue 50 layers of autotune onto her voice, which makes her sound like a computer. Also, Will Smith does an okay job with Friend Like Me and Aladdin, but when he's singing Prince Ali, I actually got a little nostalgia because it reminded me of iRobot. Oh, and the music from the new Lion King, I could only listen to a little bit because it's absolutely atrocious. I Just Can't Wait to Be King has all the autotune problems I've been talking about, and they even up the auto-tune in one point, which just sounds horrible.
Well, that's definitely out.
And I know a lot of people probably praise her in this movie, but I think the choice to cast Beyonce in this was really poor, because you could just tell they were afraid to yell cut on her, or to maybe bring her vocals down a little bit, because she basically drowns out Donald Glover in Can You Feel the Love Tonight. Also, if you need just one song to justify my point, just listen to Be Prepared, and make sure you have a garbage can or a bag next to you while you listen to it, because you won't be able to stop projectile vomiting for at least 5 minutes. So to sum this point up, either cast actors who can sing, or get actual singers to dub in for them. Like, they did that in some of the animated movies, so you could do it here. But don't turn the actors into computers. Don't do this again.
I can see what's happening.
I can't what?
And they don't have a clue.
Who's they?
The main focus of this video is on The Lion King, but as many of you know, this isn't the first time Disney has made a dark and gritty live-action reboot. They've been making them non-stop for the past like 5 years or so. So let's just take a trip down the money-fueled lane they've got set up here. I guess we could even go back and bring up 101 Dalmatians from 1996. I honestly wiped that one from my memory entirely. And I guess they're rebooting that again. Okay. So this brings us to 2010, when we have the Tim Burton monstrosity Alice in Wonderland. You know, I love Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands, but this is just straight trash. It's almost as bad as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which... that's pretty bad. Ow! The reviews are pretty mixed, but guess what? It made over $1 billion. So that gave them a little motivation. We got Maleficent in 2014. I guess it was a spin-off of Sleeping Beauty. I hard skipped that one. It also got pretty mixed reviews, but hey, it made over $750 million, so they're doing just fine. Cinderella came out in 2015. I didn't see this either. I really like Lily James and all, but nothing really made me want to see this movie. I'm guessing it was a bunch of Dutch angles. Now 2016 is where we really start to see the problem. We have Jungle Book, Alice in Wonderland 2, and Pete's Dragon in the same year. Alice 2 didn't go so hot at the box office, probably because everyone hated the first one. And Pete's Dragon also underperformed, but the Jungle Book more than made up for it, because it made over $900 million. 2017 was relatively quiet, but with one huge exception, and that being Beauty and the Beast 2017. It made over $1.2 billion. And Christopher Robin came out in 2018. It didn't even make $200 million, so not exactly a success for Disney. But all of this leads to 2019, which has not one, not two, not three, not even four, but 5 live-action remakes in 1 year. And if that isn't enough, just look at this lineup of remakes in production right now. Literally, no one is safe. Hide your properties, hide your characters, and hide your songs, because Disney rebooting everybody out here. So to conclude, the oversaturation is real, and there's no end in sight. If we only got like one bad remake every few years, I could probably stomach it. Like, I don't really care. But the fact that we literally have 5 this year, like this is just so desperate on the part of Disney, and really pathetic. I don't understand why we can't make movies that are original to create new stories that people love. But no, I guess just making live action versions of your old stuff, that's all you care about. That's fine. So that's why I didn't see The Lion King here. See these $10 here, Disney? They're not going to you. I didn't see your movie. But I'll pay for the next Marvel movie.